Hello, it's Jon Binnie here. I am your spiritual psychic mentor here in Scotland, and I'm here to follow up on predictions for July, August, and September 2025. Thank you so much for your comments and your views and your shares. Over 6,000 of you on last week's video. So that was the 7/7 portal. And here we are on the 13th of July, 2025, to go through the predictions for the next almost 3 months, July, August, September. Okay, so let us first of all make sure we have a safe space set up. So if you'd like to join me, I've already created a safe space, and I'd just like you to take one deep breath in through the nose and breathe out what no longer serves your highest good, nice and loud. Bring your awareness to the highest dimension of source, of love, of this universe above you, and also to bring your attention to the very core, the very heart of Mother Earth and her soul, Mother Gaia. And just bring yourself back to your heart, feeling centered and ready for today's session. So first of all, a big thank you to your questions that you've posted in the comments. So you can ask questions at any time and I'll collate them. Already have quite a few, so I can't promise I'll be doing everyone's questions for every session, but let us begin with the first few and then I'll do the rest. I will do all of them today. I will do the rest at the end of the video. Okay, so the first question is from Laurie Hertzinger. Hello, Laurie. Thank you so much for your question. And you said, is Nessie a galactic and returned to her planet? So for context, Laurie is referring to what many call the Loch Ness Monster. I feel that's a harsh name for any being being called a monster. And so Nessie, as I prefer to call her, is a being that has been sighted over many, if not hundreds of years at the very big and very, very deep and huge volume of water of Loch Ness, about 800 feet deep. And that's in Scotland, northern Scotland. So I've already visited there. So I was actually there yesterday and I was camping there for 24 hours on my recent trip to the Orkney Islands, which are up at the very north of Scotland, just above Scotland. So let me just ask one of my guides. I'm going to ask my guide, Maya, who is an elemental guide of Earth and previously of Andromeda. So the first answer I'm being shown is that there is a portal that is contained within the water, so it's underwater within Loch Ness, and that Nessie freely travels through this. This portal takes her into fourth dimensional Earth and also third dimensional Earth. And it's a way of Nessie being able to traverse these different frequencies and dimensions. This is for her safety, but also it allows her to access different food types and different levels of energy. So the fourth dimension is much more where our ghosts and spirits and energy of our souls can exist without human form. And then the third dimension is much more of a heavier, dense, physical dimension, just as we are in just now. And in terms of Nessie being a galactic, so yes, her origins are galactic, but she has chosen Earth. She's showing me, my guide Maya is showing me Sirius as her origins, which is really beautiful. That she's not fully returned. She comes and goes as she pleases. Okay. And so thank you for your question, Laurie. I hope that helps you. For The next question is Angie, and apologies, I'm not great at pronouncing names. Angie Gutierrez, 223. And you've said, can you ask Gaia if she's going to shift poles in such a way, and I've got my laptop down here that I'm reading the questions on, in such a way that Atlantis rises and the Mississippi River will flow up in the direction flowing to Lake Michigan instead of the ocean. And the Mississippi also shifts towards Indiana. Can you please ask Gaia, is Indiana safe? Okay, so there's a couple of questions in there. So let's first ask Gaia, and I'll also ask any of my guides. Just getting really beautiful, loud ringing in my ears as I connect in with Gaia. Let's ask about the pole shifts, please. Will this happen? Will it happen within the next, by the end of September, for example? So she says, unlikely, no, not by the end of September. Gaia is saying that her very core is going through a turbulent change. The inner core and the outer core and the interactions between the two, she's showing me this dynamic, dynamo-like effect of the outer core spinning and starting to go into more of a heightened, excited state. And we'll come on to more about why this is happening as we start to share more later with the interactions with the sun and then these galactic ascension waves. So pole shifts may happen in the future, she was explaining to me. However, there will be periods, whilst there is periods of chaos and unsettling times for us, there is an intelligence behind all of this. And many of us feel that these, it's tempting to feel that these are somehow just randomly, fearful and painful events that will happen to us and that they will attack us, that the earth is attacking itself or attacking us. And that if it's not one thing, it's another, right? That's how it often feels. So really her Gaia's guidance is she's conscious and aware of what's going on, even when humans and other beings try or successfully manipulate her weather and aspects of the earth behavior and even the aspects of the earth's magnetic field. And that many of our scientists that try to do this work don't fully understand how intelligent Gaia is. And so they underestimate, they think it's kind of a cause and effect. You do one thing and another thing happens, whereas Gaia will play along with these games sometimes, and other times she just takes control. So any pole shifts that do happen, she's saying, will likely be temporary, and there'll be more like fluctuations, like switching between the two. And yes, they will cause disruption, but she said they are very much in her conscious awareness, and that she will be looking after as many of Earth's children as she can, as Earthlings. In terms of the specifics about Atlantis rises and the Mississippi River flowing up in direction, what I did see was this, she was showing me this, there will be a surge. So what happens in a pole shift, and just to be clear, that pole shift is not happening. I would never say never, but this is Gaia's answer, right? Is that there is fluctuations in the Earth magnetics and the poles, and especially driven by the core, the very heart of Mother Earth, Mother Gaia. So just be aware of some of these shifts in energies disrupting some of this almost raised layer of oceans that we have around the equator. And what that does is it displaces more water, including seawater. And yes, it can affect rivers such as Mississippi, but it's not going to reverse the Mississippi, for example, but do expect some bursts. And let me ask specifically about Indiana being safe. She says yes, Indiana's safe, and she's keeping a close, watchful eye on Indiana. I mean, it's a big area, right? And then also the people know that all these earth events happen for reasons that we don't always understand. And this includes the conscious decisions by Gaia herself, her interactions with the sun, her partnership with the consciousness of the sun, and also these ascension waves. And what Gaia and the sun are doing in partnership is working through a frequency increase. So increasing from third into fourth and fifth dimensions, and trying to bring gently and safely as many humans who want to come up into these higher vibrations of happiness, unity, and abundance, and then also to be able to shake off and purge these lower vibrations. Okay, so I'm going to stop there with the questions. That's the first couple answered, and I hope that helps. Thank you. I'll do the rest of the questions at the end. So looking forward to that. Okay, so first of all, as I did in the format of our last video, let's focus now on the different layers of our reality. And so the way I do this is I start with the very core of Mother Earth, which is our last subject, which is a perfect segue. And then I'll work my way up to all the way up to the stars and space and beyond. And before I do, I'm just going to drink some water. Okay. So let us first focus on the predictions up until the end of September. July, August, and September. I'm just connecting in with Mother Gaia's heart now, with my heart into her heart, and asking about the very heart of Mother Gaia, the very core of the planet, and what's happening beneath the surface of the earth. So just starting with the core and the heart and just gradually opening up. Okay, so the very first message Gaia has is that, and she's referring to me as a person that's been playing a part of this, which is she's saying that her earth grid, her ley lines are reactivating. And this helps explain why I was guided very strongly by my guides to last minute take a trip to the Orkney Islands. And if you do a little bit of research on ley lines, and these are the energy lines that flow around the earth, they are more similar to our nervous system and our meridians, and they support a flow of energy, communication, all types of energy from low vibration to high vibration. And it's really the living, breathing, energetic system of Earth. And Mother Gaia says that, so up on the surface, towards the surface, these ley lines that run across the planet, one of the strongest and most relevant for her at this time is the rose line. And you can do a little bit of research on the rose line yourself. And it's even mentioned, and I can't say I fully align with everything that's said in, is it Dan Brown's book? I hope I'm getting the author's name right. The Da Vinci Code. But there's a lot of interest before that book, and a lot of truths and a lot of dramatization in that book. But know that this is a line that stretches across a key part of the planet, and it's across the heart of Mother Gaia. And so the heart chakra, and many people will give you different answers about where the heart chakra is of Mother Earth. And I also feel that her heart chakra moves quite a lot, moves location. There's a realignment of Earth's heart chakra with the very center of England in the UK. And then the rose line runs up across, almost a diagonal across the UK, across England and Scotland. And then at the north, there's an offshoot over to Orkney, the Orkney Islands. So I was doing work there this week working with the ancient standing stones of between 4 and 5,000 and 5,500 years old, and helping reactivate these sites. And these sites are used to be able to help us humans connect with the earth, commune with the earth, and do healing and support fertility and communication and a whole wide range of things. Thousands of years ago, those sites were shut down, and so there's now a period of reactivation. What's exciting about these reactivations is, and it's not just me that's been doing this work around the world, there's many, is that many people are being guided to be able to help Earth reconnect her whole meridians, her energetic body, her nervous system together fully once more, so that she can fully embody herself, so that Gaia can become a full functioning planet and soul fully intertwined once more. So what's exciting about that is that the changes that we see and these fluctuations in the very core of Mother Earth are helping her heart connect up from the center of the earth up out to the surface. And ley lines run under the surface, but they also run above the surface. So they run in our atmosphere as well. And once you get up into the atmosphere, it's more similar to the auric field that us humans have. So what we'll start to see, and let me just ask, is there any specifics about July, August, and September? She says, yes, August, there's continued significant change and acceleration. And she says, Gaia says, expect, for example, a settling period of around a cycle of a month. And these are more connected to the lunar months. Gaia is working with the moon to go through periods of excitement and acceleration within the core. So we will experience more turmoil during these times, and then a month of settling. So it's a month of activation, a month of settling. And just as we saw the full moon, the buck moon, I did check the dates because I really don't pay much attention to the moon or the planets or astrology. But the buck moon, which was on the 10th of July, said, yes, although the world's continuing to go through significant changes, this is a period in comparison to August where there will be a greater acceleration again. And so into the August sturgeon moon, we'll start to see more shifts again. And then again in September, a calming. So this month on, month off of activity. And she's also just showing me, Gaia's showing me her core has this, it's not very easy for us to visualize all the time, but she has a strong connection, just as we have in our hearts. We have a strong connection if we choose to connect into the heart of Mother Earth, Mother Gaia. So does Earth with the sun. And so there's this, she's showing me it reminds me of an umbilical cord running between the sun's heart and the heart of the earth. And so this partnership between parent and child is also a way, this source connection between the two that allows a continued partnership in the changing of frequencies. So just as the sun, we see an increase in solar activity, and we'll come on to that later, we also see the activity in the core of Mother Earth. And then from the core, it expands out across the rest of the earth. Okay. And let me just go up a bit more. I don't know why I keep looking down. I only have the questions. I'll just put my laptop down there. Okay. So I love doing this freestyle. So let's also just check what's happening, Gaia and any of your earth elementals that want to participate in answering the question through July, August, September. What will we see under the earth and the mantle, crust? So I'm being shown, and this reminds me of our last video where we heard about greater convection. She's showing me greater convection of heat rising, so energy rising. And yes, this anger and rage energy continuing to drive these subterranean thermal currents. Okay. And this rage, a lot of it is the progression of anger. So it's anger of inequality and greed and constant compromise or influencing or implicit, almost entrapment of humans' free will. She's saying slavery as well. So, and human trafficking. These are themes that are, Gaia is saying, literally making her blood boil. And so her blood being the magma beneath the earth, this is really rising to the surface. And she said she'll come on to that if I ask more about specifics about the surface and any volcanic activity or earthquakes. And Gaia says, please pay attention to how you're feeling. So this is a collective. So this Gaia is describing me and you and I, and all of the people around the world at this time. This statement also affects all living things, all plants, all birds and insects and animals. There's this anger coming up, and it causes this kind of increase in energy, and you may feel more driven, more kind of focused, but also feels to me inside our blood pressure increases. And it's not a massive wave of this feeling, but it is a subtle increase that raises the collectives, our collectives, baseline for what we will tolerate. So we're becoming less tolerant of each other and less tolerant of people doing things against our will. And this spilling over of this energy that's releasing into more of an action-focused emotion, such as rage, is starting to express. And Gaia's showing me her fists like this, and as we, it's like going, it's like, that really annoys me. So not just feeling a suppressed anger, now this releasing out, at very least to feeling it in our body and conscious awareness. So just allow yourself to observe this. When you wake in the morning, please do, and I recommend you go outside, walk barefoot on the grass or ground or earth or stone or whatever your surfaces of earth, the closest you can connect, water, anything, asphalt, pavement, whatever it is that you can. Outside is great. You can do it inside as well, but just really connect yourself with the earth and take a deep breath and connect yourself down through the base of your spine into earth, and just just ask the question, what is the collective energy at this time? What is the most dominant emotion? And just allow that answer to come through. This is a great way of baselining yourself. So it brings your conscious awareness to, those times where throughout the day you might be feeling, oh, that's a bit much. Oh, I'm a bit, triggered by that. Or you're watching something, especially if you're watching something that is is designed to trigger you, such as mainstream media, but it's also bled heavily into social media. This fear propagation, if you experience that, be aware that already your own baseline anger levels and rage are already elevated. So the first thing to do is just be aware of that, to observe it, and do seek ways of releasing this anger. This is what Gaia is doing. She's trying to find ways to release the energy. The worst energy is blocked energy that we suppress inside ourselves. So happy, healthy bodies, just like our human body and just like planet Earth, happy, healthy bodies constantly allow energy to flow, to release. Energy comes in, is processed, and is released. When we grab it and hold it and we say, no, this is really bad. I do not accept what's going on around outside of us. But instead of releasing in some way, instead of taking some action to process that energy, we hold it. We hold on to it in our hearts. We suddenly become like a dragon clutching its egg or its child, and we hold it within us and we squeeze it tight. And that energy is very damaging to us. It's damaging to our bodies. It's also damaging to the earth. So seeking safe ways to release it, my go-tos are screaming along to metal music. I'm a big fan of metal. Also screaming outside, screaming into a glass, into a pillow, saying out loud the things that really annoy you, dancing it, like anything that involves movement and the expression. There may be so many ways that you want to express your anger. This all really, really helps. Okay. And she's just helping me feel some of that energy. So Gaia's ways of expressing energy, we can ground into earth. She can also ground into the sun. But for that energy that can't be grounded, she wants to express out through the surface. And what Gaia is consciously trying to do, and this is not obvious to us, right, as humans and our fellow humans, is that she's trying to target areas that are either the safest to express, so volcanic activity, earthquake activity, or where she feels that the energy there, and most commonly it's humans and any extraterrestrials that humans are working with, that energy being released into that area will cause a purging effect. So as the planet's vibration rises, as Gaia is seeking to release what no longer serves her and no longer serves us, and to step up more into high vibration, happy frequencies of emotions, then what's happening is she wants to purge away, to let go of that baggage. And it reminds me of a hot air balloon. Just before a hot air balloon is untied from the ground, often they'll also drop any ballast, any sandbags, any heavy weights that help hold it down. And they can use that, use the releasing of this heavy energy to allow the balloon to rise. So this is what Gaia is also doing. She's seeking to purge. Now, she will purge humans that are not serving the highest good of our collective human race and the world. And perhaps this is something a concept we're not very used to, is that Mother Gaia absolutely has a big say and control over who exists on her planet. And she is extremely tolerant, which is why you see world leaders, the rich elite, many beings around this world that take advantage of that tolerance and know that as she releases this anger and rage, her tolerance is worn very thin. And so I know from my guide Maya has explained this to me before, is that other planets in the universe aren't tolerant, and they're definitely not as tolerant as Gaia, and they will absolutely shake off beings, and regardless of how they've evolved, regardless of their they're children of that planet, these other planets will shake off their inhabitants and make way to make space, out with the old and in with the new, to make space for new beings that are more aligned with the greater good of all. And what Gaia is doing her very best to do, in our case here on Earth, is really work with all of, I hope, you watching this video that seek the highest good, love and compassion in all. And she's focusing on areas also to release souls that really don't serve the highest good. And this is not in any way vengeful or vindictive. This is Gaia realigning herself and breaking through, allowing her anger and her rage to become more balanced. So what will happen is, she's showing me into August, where there's an elevated releasing of this energy, that she'll start to create again another wave of volcanic and earthquake activity. And let me just ask if there's any specifics about where, and is there anything we can do? Is there anything that people can do here to help? So answering the second question first, Gaia says, if you're concerned, because she says the measurements that us humans take are reasonably helpful. So our seismic measurements, for example, of earthquake activity, they are helpful indicators. She says, just be aware that there are more advanced systems that exist than that are publicly available. But the public data, she's saying, is helpful. And it's reminding me of, I'm a fan of Stephen Burns and his work. Just reminds me of some of the interest that he shows in seismic activities and these clusters. Gaia is saying this is helpful. This is useful to know if there's a buildup in an area. But she says it's not so accurate. So she says she's showing in particular that you may see, for instance, around Japan, this area into the Pacific of clusters of volcanoes and clusters of seismic activity. However, it's more close to that you're going to start to see the bigger events. So not directly in the area. So this is quite difficult for us humans, right? Because when we can get quite fear addicted, and we can constantly obsess about consuming new data that feeds some of those fears. And then when we face those fears, when that fear is realized to us and reflected back to us and said, yeah, hey, like the area you live in, or the area near where you live, or where you have loved ones, is potentially affected. It causes this fear energy within us. And know that your energy, you might feel small on this planet, you might feel insignificant, in comparison to Earth, or in comparison to the sun, for example. Know that each of us individually, we all have a massive and significant bearing on the planet, on the environment around us, on the reality around us, on the timelines that we choose. And this goes to the very heart of these predictions, is that they will constantly evolve and change, which is why I'm doing an overlapping 3 months, like a rolling 3 months or 2.5 months. And that's because you watching this are affecting those predictions themselves. You're going to have a reaction that says yes, no, maybe to each of them, and you will react. Your energy will shift. So know that In modern science, it's the observer effect, right? So when a conscious observer watches something or is paying attention to what's going on, you cause an effect. So this is also why some of the data, whilst it's accurate as a measurement, when the measurements are then watched by us, or received by us, and we react with fear or with excitement and happiness and joy, that we do have an effect. So this is also causing, Gaia's point is that whilst the measurements are accurate at the time, know that your observation of them significantly affects the outcomes. So that's helpful, thank you. And she's saying, watch out into August. Keep a lookout in August. So she's showing me again, and I don't, my memory's not amazing. I don't remember specifically what I said about when this would happen, but I'm being shown again a new landmass forming towards, so it is east. Yeah, it's east of the cluster of volcanic activity, of the seismic activity in the Pacific near Japan at this time. Okay, she says east and slightly north of Japan. Okay, thank you. And any other areas of the world to make us aware of, Gaia, at this time? So she's saying, yes, there is continued activity. She's drawing, she says unusual places will experience, so unusual places, everywhere is unusual. Places where we're not used to seeing seismic activity will experience. She said there will be a little bit here in Scotland, and we do sometimes get, tremors. But she was showing me the west coast of the US, and it was towards the northwest coast. And this is up towards the Seattle area. And it's not the first time I've heard this. Yeah, and pay attention to, she said, pay attention to what happens. So there's some foundational concepts that I hope will really help you both watching this video and consuming any other people's content or data. And the first is that, as a reminder, Mother Gaia is absolutely sentient. She is alive and kicking and is conscious just like you and I. And she has great and significant control over the seismic and volcanic activity. Okay? So she also wants you to know is that some humans have developed various different weapons, if you like, to use against other humans. And the idea is to blame it on the weather. So this includes seismic weapons, and then also weather weapons. And so other countries do know about this. And there are a handful of countries that can do this against each other. And so just paying attention to often, supercells, these superstorms that seem to kind of come out of nowhere, that don't seem to follow the same patterns, that have this heightened both volume and intensity and impact. Keep an eye out for these, because just be aware that although Gaia is largely in control, sometimes these storms are made, are manufactured by other humans to affect different humans. And sometimes they're, what do you call it? Do you call it a red flag? Is that a term? I can't remember. But it reminds me of giving yourself a bloody nose, like punching yourself in the face, this idea, blaming on someone else, like, look what they did to me. So there's, this other aspect of, some countries harming themselves for the benefit of the few. So some countries, I was shown the US, but also there was some of this going on at a smaller scale in the UK. And this is, instigating, using weather to help propagate fear, to help target specific areas, and to cause disruption. So, and let me just ask, is there anything we can do? Because Gaia did explain a bit about this. Yeah. So whenever she says, she's showing me the sky above you, the sky above me, above us at this time. She says the weather is very much also influenced by each of us. And so when we have an intention of happiness and joy and love towards each other, this helps bring a resonance energy that this love energy, that frequency of around 432 hertz resonating out from our hearts. And the more of us that feel this energy, the more that's reflected in our skies and our weather and our storms, and then also in the ground as well. And this is, she's saying to me, this is why it's so important to pay attention to how you're feeling. So know that if you're finding yourself in a fear cycle, in a fear loop, going down fear rabbit holes, and you find yourself a bit addicted to fear, know that it's a good time to just catch yourself and say, just be aware of this fear is having an effect, a conscious effect on the ground beneath you and the sky above you. And so the more you can take a moment, take a breath, connecting with the earth, and just release any of your anger and rage, really shout it out, scream it out, breathe it out, sing and dance it out, and also connecting with your love. Remember those feelings of love towards your loved ones, the parts of the planet that you love, your home, your pets, your plants, whatever it is that you enjoy the most. Like feeling that energy in your heart, this will really help. You can also set intentions if you see stormy weather, in particular in your local area. You can calm that storm energy as well and just help release it. So more of this energy can be released out beyond Earth's atmosphere, out into space. So, and remembering that all energy that moves is good energy. Okay. So let's also ask a bit about anything else that's going on the surface across, first of all, our bodies, the effect that all of this activity is having on our bodies. So into August, there's a continued intensification, is that word? Intensifying energy from the sun. And there's a specific frequency, and I'm just connecting up to the sun now as well, up to the Ra soul and energy, and just asking. I don't know if you noticed, I just reached out my hand. It's making me feel a little bit ungrounded as I connect into the sun. Okay. So from the sun into each of our hearts, there's a continued, in August, and through the month, the cycle of August, there's a continued acceleration of energy from the sun. And the sun is saying, can you open your hearts, Jon? So asking all of us to really help open up our hearts. And the way I do this is I imagine, remember the ley line of Mother Gaia that runs across her heart is called a rose line. Well, the rose, I love imagining my heart as a rose. And so it has these, when it's in fear, my rose is closed. And then when I gently open my heart up, I open up the rose petals, the flower of my heart chakra, and I allow my heart to receive this beautiful energy from the sun. Now, this energy, in simple terms, is, and this is an oversimplification, this is love energy. So it's this loving feeling. And what's the most important message from the sun is that in August, if you're in fear, first of all, you will deflect this energy. It will not enter your heart. So if your heart is tight and closed, you will not receive this energy. And it is your free will choice, okay? If your heart is a little bit open, what can happen is, so let's say your heart is half open, what will start to happen is some of the energy will come in, but it'll also be, you'll experience resistance. So resistance on the inside of your heart chakra can feel like you're being pushed to do things that you don't feel totally happy with. It can make your heart chakra kind of have this aching sensation sometimes. You might feel a little bit ungrounded, and sometimes you might just feel yourself describing it as heartache. Is that sensation of being shown? This will be different and unique for each of us, but these are some of the themes that may resonate with you. And then just allowing your heart to open up fully and just slightly larger than this energy, this love energy that's flowing from the sun. As you do so, you're creating plenty of capacity to receive. And I'm being shown the sun energy coming all the way from the core of the sun into your heart with a nice big open heart, and just allowing this energy to also flow down through the base of your spine and deep into the earth. And this completes a circuit. So you and I, remember, we're really important people because all people are important. We're all equal on this planet. And what you're doing is you're allowing, we'll come on to this concept in a moment, you're allowing love energy, which is a key part of the ascension waves, flowing from the sun into your heart and then down into the ground. And you're allowing that energy to fill your body, to help activate you, to nurture you, to help your body receive your upgrades, the activation of your own unique superpowers, including your psychic abilities, your metaphysical abilities. And then the energy connecting it down into earth helps really ground in the energy. And this means an integration, a saturation of the energy into the crust. So in through the skin of earth, just like a good suntan. Okay. So taking time to look after yourself, taking time to, develop a self-care routine. Mine is long baths, walks in nature, time with my family, having fun, following my passions, doing some music like I did just before this. You developing, going for runs, long walks, going on camping adventures. Like, these are my go-tos. Write down your top 3 or 4 self-care habits, and especially those ones that bring you joy, because in August, during these heightened levels of activity, so we heard Earth's core, releasing of rage and anger, we heard seismic activity and volcanic activity. All these are expressions of this same very simple process, which is releasing the heavy, low vibration old, the purging of it, and then the acceptance of the new. So you're accepting into your heart from the center of the sun, you're accepting in this love energy. So as Gaia is releasing all the gunky bad stuff out of her, we're helping bring in the new. And remember, you're human just like me. And humans are children of this earth. So we are born of the earth. We are connected and interconnected deeply. We're intertwined with this planet. We are part of nature. So we all have our role to play if we choose to open up our hearts and receive this love energy. And for some of us, this will be really hard because it's so easy to be triggered by the fear due to this seemingly, it's easy and naively to believe that all this activity is somehow, seismic and volcanic activity, for example, is designed to somehow scare all humans. It's not. It's absolutely not. It's somehow, we're scared somehow that's going to affect us, our loved ones. yes, there are risks to, all of us around the world at all times, but know that Gaia, as a living sentient being, is doing her very best to try and balance purging, so, and bringing to light areas of where free will is being compromised, enslavement, poverty against people's will. These areas are being purged, and it's not really obvious to us through sources such as our mainstream or social media where these areas are, why this is why these things are happening. But this is all starting to come through, and we're hearing this. I think we heard in the last video as well, if not in between, a continued thinning of the veil. So a thinning of it's like the Wizard of Oz, where the wizard is the veil in front of him is released at the end, and you see the guy pulling the strings behind the curtains. As that curtain is lifted, you'll get a much better sense about why did all this happen? Why in those areas? And yeah, absolutely holding space for anyone that is affected by any earth changes, any storms, any weather, anything that negatively affects them. And we thank their souls for participating in these events to help bring light to all of these areas, to all their hearts, and wishing as smooth as possible transition through these difficult, challenging, and turbulent times. And as we fight these battles of love versus fear, we encourage everyone's hearts, no matter what happens local to you, no matter what happens to your loved ones, and whatever you perceive across this world, to continue to open your heart to the love that we're all receiving at this time. Okay. And my stomach just made a big growl. It was funny, just releasing that energy from my solar plexus up into my heart. Okay. So let's go up to, are there anything else across our politics, our systems? Okay, there is, this is very specific. To pay attention to, I'm being shown lithium, and lithium within lithium batteries, and it's everywhere, right? Even in small devices. Lithium may begin to become more volatile due to the frequencies that flowing through our sun. And there is some awareness of this. It seems to cause an increase in temperature. So just the advice is to, this isn't, the good news is this isn't like some big cataclysmic thing that's going to stop all devices that use lithium to suddenly go on fire or no longer work. But my guide, Maya, is suggesting that we just pay attention to the operating temperature ranges of the products that we use and do our reasonably best to keep them, reasonably cool. And I must admit, I did see a Tesla car yesterday in Scotland in an unbelievable heat wave. Well, unbelievable to me. Somewhere between 35 and 40 degrees Celsius, I was seeing these temperature ranges. And it was really struggling while it was parked to keep cool. And the engine was off by the looks of it, and it wasn't doing anything. The owners were not in the vehicle. Just as an example, just being aware of, well, don't push these products too hard. Be aware of leaving batteries out in the sun, etc. Because these frequencies that are flowing through, I'm being shown a sine wave frequency running through all of us, through all of Earth at this time, that this has an effect, an increased risk of overheating of lithium devices, in particular through August. And then as the frequency range shifts, there may be something else for us to keep an eye on. So There's always something for us to just feel into. You may also feel your intuition around this as well. You don't just need to rely on predictions or my word for it. One thing I do is I touch the devices I have, and I ask them. So I just place my hand in it, and I'll say, I've got my laptop below me, or the leisure battery within my camper van. I'll open up a little cupboard and reach down and touch it and ask it how it's feeling. And should I reduce the load or turn it off or keep it out of direct sunlight? These are the things that you can do yourself and use your intuition, feel it in your gut. Okay. Anything else across world leaders? I'm just being shown a leader in the US, sometimes called F45. Yeah, there is a shift in August. I'm being shown something. It's related to the brain. It's a brain trauma. And it reminds. It's really interesting the way it's being shown. So I was asking there, is it something like dementia, which I've heard, a few people report on or worry about. And then the next thing I was shown was more of a, it was an explosive like reaction within the brain. And I was asking, is it like, because I was shown something in the brain, expanding out. And they said, no, it's, I was asking, is it a bullet? Is it something else? And they said, it's, is this the right medical term? I don't know. It's just a word I was given, which is an aneurysm that's like this popping. Okay, wow. Well, I wouldn't wish any bad health on anyone. Okay, and it doesn't cause death, but impaired health, further impaired health. Okay, thank you. This may or may not be reported, and I wouldn't want to, invade. This is a message and a visualization I've received. I've not done, and I wouldn't do against someone's will a scan of their health, through my quantum psychic healing, which I do as my day job. So yeah, that whole prediction makes me personally a little bit uncomfortable to share, but it is a clear message to be shared. And for that individual and for those affected, we send love, regardless of what they've done, just bringing love and compassion and forgiveness, and wishing everyone the best health across this world. Okay. And we're coming up on an hour, so let me move on to, I've still got the questions to do at the end. So let me just come on to the rising up a bit into the atmosphere, and then also up into space, into our solar system, asking my guides, my galactic guides, so I'm being shown, pay attention to the alignments of the solar system with other, they said other star systems across the galaxy. So the sun is leading us, leading our solar system into I was shown an energetic highway, and this is really a galactic ley line. It is a galactic ley line that runs through the outer regions of the Milky Way galaxy. And as we step into that, it's a stream. I'm being shown reminds me of the Gulf Stream that runs from the tropics across the Atlantic into Scotland and heats Scotland. This is a stream that we enter, and it's the purpose the sun is leading us into this area of space is to help us to rise up more smoothly. So it brings in I'm being shown putting hands around our solar system, and it brings in a supportive, nurturing energy. So that's lovely to see and to feel, okay? The sun is saying, so we obsess a little bit about the Schumann resonance, which is a measurement of energy waves that come into our atmosphere, for example, predominantly from the sun, and their frequencies at which our sun and ourselves, our bodies, our brain waves operate at. And solar flare activity can be seen very clearly on the Schumann resonance. And so the idea is that the Schumann resonance is, affecting your body directly. The sun is saying that's a small part of what we're calling ascension waves. So ascension waves are an energy of very broad frequency ranges that support the opening of our hearts and the lifting of our hearts to help support us. So, like being a boat, as the tide raises, as the water raises, it helps lift our hearts upwards. So it helps us lift from, fearful, shameful, hatred-filled vibrations and emotions up into higher happiness and joy and love and unity consciousness. So these ascension waves, they are multi-layered, just like the onion, and a bit like the layers of the onion that I'm going through with the core and the surface of the earth and our bodies, and then some world events, and then out into space, our atmosphere out into space and the sun and solar system and galaxy. These layers of the onion, there's also frequencies overlaid across these as well. And these frequencies of these energies, these ascension energies, are doing a number of things. So let me ask some specifics about what and when. So July, I'm being shown a tailing off of energies, and there's a flicker just at the end of July, a flicker of energy. So reminds me of a rattlesnake's tail flickering. So smooth until just the last few days, 30th, 31st of July, and then this rattle, this quickening of energy. And that's designed to remind our hearts, hey, it's time to keep open, keep your heart open during August. Okay, and then as we go into August, I'm being shown the lower vibration energies that are more directed at our bodies. So this includes our DNA manipulation. A nicer word, a better word than manipulation is activation. So a lot of the latent DNA that exists within each of us, this is being activated. And this includes each of our own unique individual abilities to support the activation of our superpowers. These are gifts that our soul is giving to us. So it's a gift we give to ourselves. Our soul is giving to us and saying, hey, Jon, remember how to do this. So in my case, being shown, hey, remember how to connect with sacred ancient sites, stone circles in Orkney in Scotland, and then activate them and their connection into earth. So that's just one example. There are just an infinite breadth and spectrum of superpowers. So these are beginning the activation process. It doesn't happen overnight, or should I say the triggering of it happens through August, and then it continues to support. So there's more people opening their hearts, more people, their third eyes becoming more sensitive, being able to see more clearly across third, fourth, fifth dimensions, seeing glimpses into ultraviolet spectrums, seeing more UFOs, UAPs in the sky, more ghosts, more entities. So in this respect, this is why this is how the veil is thinning. It's us opening up to be able to see through it, to see through that curtain, see the wizard and the Wizard of Oz doing his thing behind the curtain, seeing the truth behind all of this. And it includes, some people will be able to see, for example, perceive with their third eyes the difference between a storm, for example, that is entirely natural, or a storm that is a weather storm that is artificially created, and that there's a different color, a different feeling to those storms. That's really interesting, right? When we think back about what we're shared earlier. Okay, and anything else? Yeah, take care of your body, get plenty of rest, drink as much water as it feels right for you, regular grounding, and just keeping out of these fear loops. It's okay. So perhaps, and you might consider this as well as having a fear practice. Say to yourself, okay, there's specific times in a day that I'm prepared to tolerate fear, and reflect on the things that that trigger you, that are constantly coming into your mind. And so maybe that's, conflict with another human at work, or someone or even a loved one. It may be the time that you go and look at mainstream media, just schedule that time. And so the importance is, for the rest of the time, for the 99% of the time that you're not doing that, schedule that fear and say, I'm not scared of this right now. I'm going to be scared about it then. And it's so funny. It's so debilitating, first of all, to fear as a practice to do this. But it also is a very conscious activity. You're not suppressing it. And it's great if you can deal with it that day and say, this is my fear time, is that time. I'm going to get really worried then. I'm going to be really scared then. And for me, for example, at lunchtime, I will listen to the radio for world news, and that's my time to receive those triggers and fear. And so any other world news, etc., anything else that I'm, thinking about becoming a bit addicted to and constantly checking in on, I will defer to that time. So I'll say, I'll be worried about it then. I'll look at it then. And just don't put it off for too long, otherwise it can be stuck. So that's why dealing with it that day can really help you. Okay. And there'll also be, this is into September, the sun is saying, humans are starting to get the idea, includes great work from people like Stephen Burns, but others, is just raising the conscious awareness that all these things are, all these influences, cosmic, galactic, the sun, space weather, our own weather, how we feel in our hearts, the earth itself, all these things are first sentient. So they're all living, conscious beings. And then secondly, they're all interconnected. And so we are all beings, just like I interact with the sun, like you interact with the sun. We're all interacting with each other. And so it's actually very difficult to just, unpick one thing and say, that's the cause, that's the problem, there's a solution for that thing. We're literally all in this together. So there will be some more discoveries along these lines of scientists beginning to see some of this as well. And I was just going to ask, because that's when AI turned up, said some people who aren't particularly scientific will be using AI tools to help bring together, for example, multiple papers from different disciplines. And this is something as in science, as humans, we struggle with, the interdisciplinary crossover. For example, our engineers, architects, and archaeologists don't always work together and figure out exactly how the pyramids were built. But what AI will allow us to do, people like you and I can start to research, even without understanding the detail, bring in these different concepts, search out the papers using AI, and then ask for the themes. Like, what are the things that combine all of these? Show me all the papers that show a link between the sun and our weather, and then also cross-reference these with the Earth seismic activity and the moon position, whatever it is that you choose, like just bringing in these different layers. And I was also shown about the activity that we're seeing in nebulas across and supernovas across the our visible night sky and beyond, our kind of space neighborhood, is that these are also being affected by ascension waves. And as a quick recap, what an ascension wave is, what I'm shown they are, this is my mantis, my galactic mantis guide, Marita's showing this, is that ascension waves they originate from us, okay? So bear with me. They come from our hearts. And when we say, I, Jon, I would like to raise my vibration. I'd like to be a happier, more loving, more unified, conscious being with others across this planet and to help others. And as I do that, the source of love of this universe, the source consciousness, is saying, I hear you, Jon. This is how I will help. And so it creates this energy that flows from the in our dimension, in the third dimension, the central universal sun. The energy flows from there. And remember, we heard about that umbilical cord from the sun's core to the earth's core. It runs from the universal sun or star out to all the galactic suns, so all the galaxies around the universe, directly into the hearts of the suns, our galactic suns, in our case, the Milky Way, and from the center of the Milky Way into the heart of the sun, and then from the center of the sun's heart into our hearts and into Mother Gaia's hearts. And so this is this answering of our call. We're saying, please, let's make it better. So every time you're saying, I want a better world, I want equality, compassion, forgiveness, love, kindness, equality, abundance for all. I want this for me, my loved ones, and for this whole planet. Every time you're saying that, you're increasing these, the volume and the impact of these ascension waves. And also forcing within us a purging, letting go of anything that doesn't serve your highest good, screaming out that anger and rage, grounding, dailing, and releasing into earth what no longer serves you. Okay, so we're up on an hour and 12 minutes. So let me also just go through some of these remaining questions quickly, because there's a few. And thank you for these. So Leslie Mansell, 8677, says, I live off the coast of Texas, specifically Galveston. I, as well as others, are feeling a strong hurricane in late August, early September. Can you ask your guides? Yes. It's after mid-August. So so Gaia says the feeling is good, Leslie. Pay attention to that feeling of the hurricane, and then also pay attention to as it starts to build, as it starts to form, and you become aware of it. To with a nice big open heart, direct your heart love energy at the storm, and you can do it directly at the center of the storm, like the eye of the storm, and say, may you purge all that no longer serves the highest good of all, and also smoothly support and nurture and take care of and protect all those that need protected, all those that have the highest good love and compassion for all in their hearts. So this idea Gaia is saying to me is this practice, placing your hand on your heart, imagine this beam of love energy from your heart out to the eye of the storm. You're connecting your consciousness and that observer effect with the storm. And instead of saying, I'm scared of you, please don't destroy everything, you're saying, I love you, storm. Please, I see what you're here to do. Release what no longer serves our highest good and help bring attention. And Texas has already had, a really rough ride. But just be aware that this is all for purpose and reason, and as the veil continues to thin, these reasons will be revealed. So I hope that helps you, and I hope you and your loved ones keep safe, Leslie. Barb, pet, will there be time when there is no country borders for all people to be able to traverse the globe freely? Says, so yes, I mean, this is quite significantly beyond September. I'm connecting into the, through my Mantis guide, into the Galactic Federation, through the Leadership Council within the Federation. And they're saying this is a tribal evolution of communities. So what we'll start to see is, over time, our land masses, our continents, being more of a indication of boundary of what we would call countries today, a dissolving of individual separate countries. And this is all from us, right? This is not because world leaders decide it's a good idea. It's because you and I decide that we want to be in families, in communities, in tribes, and that we want to interact with other groups and other tribes around the world with sovereignty and autonomy. And for those that don't really want to play ball, that don't want to be in a happy, cohesive, loving and equal partnership with other tribes, they'll likely congregate more on land masses where things are of a lower vibration. So this helps, the kind of unhappy, fearful places concentrate, and then the happy, loving, more joyful tribes, have a greater free reign of the areas of the planet that are aligned with them. So yes, but this does feel like it takes years. And it's up to the sovereignty of every individual, up to the sovereignty of every country collectively. And this will take, years to have an effect. Thank you, Barb Pet. 64 says, can I ask you guys what happened to Erwin Saunders, a YouTuber? It's been 2 years since he last posted in a video on the woodland folks, gnomes of the British Isles. I hope he's okay. I used to enjoy his content. I don't know Erwin Saunders, and I'm tempted to search after this and find out and hope they're well. What I was shown is this phase shift, that Erwin is going through a phase shift more into the fourth dimension. So this is a period of experiencing the very realms that they're so interested in and well versed in. And it's a phasing, a shift into that. So in part physically as well. Now, I don't know if to Erwin's loved ones that whether Erwin is considered dead or alive, but there's this feeling that, there's various in-between states, right? But there's this feeling of return. And when Erwin's back, it'll be mind-blowing. So look forward to that. I don't have a time scale for when. That's entirely up to Erwin. Thank you for your question. And then for I'm probably not going to pronounce your name right. Harsha Singh, 4034. Hi, John. May I ask for what will be in the future currency of the world, please? Will crypto play a major role in the world as far as currencies will go? And will gold continue to have its value offset by issues in the world? Okay, let me just ask. So first of all, money does continue to have a part to play for quite some time, but there's a gradual erosion of the use of money, and this is because we would know it as more of a bartering system, but we start to do more trade with each other. One of the downsides of using money, and the same for crypto, is that you take the value. If you took 2 items, for example, I have 2 items, labradorite, crystal, and some water. If you're dying of thirst, you don't want this, you do want this. If you love crystals and you've got plenty of water, and then you might want to collect this. So this is where money is not helpful, right? There are so many limitations to money that, we could go on, but what will start to become more obvious is that instead of us using money as a proxy, we'll start to use the objects, the services, the trades themselves. So for example, if I needed some gardening work done, I would go and do an energy healing for the gardener or the tribe of the gardener, right? And vice versa, that they would help with the gardening. So these are things that are more helpful to people in the moment. And we will see a use of our technology to help facilitate some of this more active trading. And it's to do with the energy behind it. Crypto has a kind of I'm being shown this feeling of a elevated abstraction beyond money. And in that respect, it's money and then, but in cryptography. So that further abstraction is a further step away from where we're headed. And this is all up to you and I, right? What we want to do with our currencies. But this is a trend I'm being shown is people will start to appreciate more the immediate demand and value for the things that they really love, and not this kind of projected, and gold's a really good example, right? The price of gold, it's just another commodity. Okay, it's very rare, precious materials, but we project market rates onto that. And so if someone told me, that the crystal is £100 and the water is £1 in money, in Great British pounds, then it still wouldn't add up to me when I really needed the water because I was so thirsty I was about to die, right? I feel like, oh, it's only £1. That's great news. But this is £10 or vice versa. Things get, and I've got plenty of water. It just doesn't really make sense. And so this is one of the fundamental broken problems we have with money. So yeah, we will see a shift towards more useful trading towards each other. That is also, there's another big factor, this could be an entirely separate video, which was the aspect of greed and abundance. And so one of the good things about a more bartering, trading economy system is that it's much harder to be super greedy, right? Because you're always giving to then receive, instead of just, the greed version of trading would be, I do one 1 hour session for the gardener or their tribe, and then I get a lifetime of, armies of gardeners doing lots of work for me. That would be, the equivalent. And some of the things that might not be that obvious to many around the world is that we'll start to see more that CEOs, for example, are those greedy people. They're taking, it is a greed behavior to take the profits of individuals that are working hard, to take this significant layer off of abundance that individual is creating, and then to aggregate it yourself and hold it yourself and say, I'm the rich, successful one, whereas all you're really doing is taking other people's energy. That will become much more transparent if it's not already obvious to many people around the world. So the next one, we just got 3 more. So the next one is MF9LR0. Hi, Jon. I'm in the US and I'd love if you could ask your guides who can expect the government to cease to harass and profile dark-skinned immigrants. It's horrific to watch the cruel treatment that occurs, especially daily, especially in California. Thank you. Yes, let me ask about this. So yeah, this is part of an orchestrated fear program. And so the purpose is not just to be cruel to these people, but also to make you feel scared, to make you feel under threat, even if you're not, and I don't just mean you, TJ, I mean anyone that's, observes or hears of these, this cruelty. And one of my Lyran guide, Eminshall's just stepping in, and he's saying, he says, first of all, you should, he says in Lyra, they are always very supportive of accommodating guests. And so when people come to their planet, come to their country, they'll do their very best to make them feel at home. And they also say, as part of the boundaries when they accept people into their planet and into their countries, or the equivalent that they have as countries, is that they say, you're part of our family now, and our family do these things for each other. So if you want to be here and stay here, these are the things you do. And this is in particular for those that aren't from that planet. This is also a fear program, so the cruelty against other humans and the targeting of different races, different ages, and doing it very publicly. The purpose is also a precursor to fake alien invasions, because the next thing is then to say, oh, look, here's these beings from other planets. Let's really, let's really be hostile to them. You need to be scared of them as well. There's no limit to the number of things we can be fearful of. And let me ask you, is there anything we can do, either my Lyran guide, Eminshall, or anyone else? First of all, send your love to the people that are affected from your heart. And perhaps we could all just do that now with taking a deep breath in through the nose. And from our hearts, gently opening them up and releasing this love energy to all those affected by anything immigration related, and only to those who consent to receiving this love energy to help support you this time. We see you. We love you. We're here for you. And then also finally to make a stand, when our minorities, and I mean this in every dimension, height, age, eye color, skin tone, culture, country of origin, current country they're in, whatever it is that, these fear programs slice and dice humanity into, stand up and say, with your votes, with your voice to your local, parliament member, that's what we do in the UK, your councillor, whatever you have in your means locally, say, I do not agree with this. This is, I may have voted in, or I did not vote in this government or these actions or the people that are inflicting this on others. I just want to be clear, I do not support this. This is action, right? Even though it might just seem like complaining, it's hugely important. The more of us that just say this and make a stand by drawing a line about what we do and don't accept, we're saying, no, this is not acceptable. I don't agree with this. Okay, and so thank you for that. And Laura reads 4612, earthquakes in California. Thanks. That's the shortest question. Let me ask. Okay, not, this is I never say never, but so the answer is no. This is my guide, Maya, explaining. No into September, but there will be, up to the end of September, but there will be some signs in the end of September. There will be some, my geography is not great. I do not know California, but it's mid to south California into October. There'll be some activity, yes. Okay. And then finally from Iva Flies. I know your real name. This is a public comment, so I'm just sharing your public YouTube username. Why is there so many ghosts in Scotland and so many stories? Is it because the spirits didn't ascend? And let me just ask my guides, Gaia as well, and the elementals of Scotland. Interesting. So this is new to me, there's a clustering of lost souls in Scotland. They're hoping to be able to connect more easily with Gaia's heart. So it's like a moth to a flame. They're drawn to the source energy within Gaia's heart. It's very powerful and very strong, and they're seeking a way to move on. So for all those, I'm here in Scotland now. And I've been traveling throughout Scotland and Orkney, the Orkney Islands, which is also part of Scotland, over the last week. And the week before I was in Wales, in the UK, just bringing awareness to all spirits, all ghosts, all beings that have passed on, who are anyway trapped, to help bring in source light from the highest dimension of source above, and to open up source to allow you to return to source if you wish, or if you're trapped in specific locations, for you to be able to be released. Whatever your karmic bonds, bounds, contracts allow you to do, to allow you to have your own free will and to move on if you choose. Okay. Thank you. And then there was the earlier question, similar question you had in a different video that I also answered, which was this proximity, this narrowing of the gap between third and fourth dimensions. So third, whereas human bodies are, and then into the fourth, where our ghosts, for example, as we call them, exist. That band is narrowing, and it's particularly narrow in Scotland. So the veil, if you like, is thin. The curtain between us is thinner. So our perception of them is much stronger in Scotland. And also, just as this, it's maybe not that obvious to people outside of Scotland, but Scotland's history it's always been turbulent. And there's also these very powerful ley lines that run through the planet, such as the Rose Line, and run through the country. So there's these deep ancestral, both exciting times and happy times and high vibration times, as well as traumatic and battle-ridden, war-trodden throughout our history. And so just being aware of how that can also ignite and activate these spirit activities. Okay, well, that's us for today. Thank you so much. It's really good fun doing this. If you have any feedback on the format, if you have any questions, please do let me know. And I look forward to doing this lightly. I'll do it each week. And I may do it more often if that's what you like. If you'd like me to do it live, I'd be happy to do that as well sometime. I will be live on Monday doing quantum psychic healings, clearings, and readings for people. And that's at 4:30 UK time, 11:30 a.m. Eastern time, or 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. Just go to the live section of my YouTube page, and I'll also post a reminder over the next couple of days. And you can also book me for a one-to-one session. I'm bookable. You'll see a link in this video description. And I can go into a lot more detail about you, your life purpose, help you clearing and healing, help you with past lives, help you clear your chakras, remove any negative energies or attachments, really help you traverse these increasingly turbulent times here on Earth and across our solar system and galaxy, and help you in any way I can. So just visit jonbinnie.com and you'll see under there the booking section for booking sessions. Last time I looked, I still have some space in August, so feel free to check. If not, there's definitely time in September. Okay, thank you so much. Take care, everyone. Sending so much love.